So if we're thinking about that, all the spoils go to the top 1/10 of 1%, that Joe Rogan gets a $50 million contract and I'll never make $87 doing this podcast. But if you're talking to people about, hey guys, what are the paths to monetization? Because if you're gonna trade time for money and you're gonna do this as a passion project, but one day you realize I've got to make a few bucks on this to at least pay for the equipment and the Hectors of the world who are editing my stuff and putting my shows up. What is the early kind of founder thought process to, all right, I'm gonna do this for 2 years for free, but eventually I gotta make some money. Where do we go to monetize a podcast?
I think there's a couple of buckets, right? And you've got to look at how much money do you need to make, right? And so the best way that you could do it is, yes, if you have a business and the podcast can be something that drives to the business, and it can do all of those things that you mentioned about the book. What I love about podcasts that a book can't do is it's very rare that you can call someone and connect with them over a book. You can send them a book, but you're not going to go and read the book together. You're not there. There's no relational equity, or there's no way that you can directly build relationships or connections or build your network in the same way that podcasts can. And so I would say that's what a lot of people miss. And to answer your question about how soon, I don't think that podcasters have to wait in order to monetize their show if they have that business and they're leveraging the show to build that relational equity. And too many podcasters or even creators, they look at their audience as their ideal customers. And a lot of times that getting their audience, especially if they're brand new and they don't have a brand and they're first time creating content, they're too far away from buying anything or purchasing. They don't trust this person at all. And so instead of expecting your listeners to buy something from you, if instead you can use your guests, a lot of times people have interview shows or they have guests on their show or they feature people on. If you can now have your ideal customer be your guest, now all of a sudden you can, we have people right now that are booking hundreds of sales opportunities a month because they're having it go through a podcast. And so I think that's one thing that people miss. The second thing that we're having is like on the opposite end of the spectrum. If you are just looking to, there's a big group of people that just want to make a little bit of money, right? Like if you could go out and you could not have to pay for your Jiu-Jitsu, right? Like, I don't want to say or a golf habit, or like if you could get your leisure to pay for itself, how awesome that could be, right? And that's the other bucket that I think too many people, they go in and they see the Joe Rogans, the Call Your Daddies or whatever, and they think that that's what they're looking for, when it might just be to make a couple $100 so you can do something cool in your spare time, and it's not draining the family budget, right? So if those are the instances, we've seen things like Patreons work really well, obviously really high up if there's a big community there too. Patreon is probably the biggest one that I think of in terms of the sponsorships. There's some other subscription models and Apple Plus and all those kinds of things which work to a degree, but we've found that Patreon, all you need is 10-15 people giving you $5 to $10 a month, and you that's enough to pay someone in Bangladesh to edit your audio if you want.
Right. Chris, we're gonna need you to move to Bangladesh, bro. This is what I'm getting out of Hector's talk.